day in 2011, I was a customer of ING Direct. It was an online-only bank, and they had these cool features that no other banks had. So I signed up for an account there. And then the next year in 2012, I was suddenly a Capital One customer because Capital One bought that bank. However, things went well. I never canceled my account and I never left. I have literally been a Capital One customer since 2012, and somehow, even making videos about money on the internet for years now, I've never actually reviewed Capital One 360, which is the bank I use for checking and savings. So today I'm going to talk about some of the pros and cons of Capital One 360. I'm only going to be looking at the checking and savings accounts there because I don't have a Capital One credit card and I don't use the other features and products that they have. So this is a very limited review on just the checking and savings accounts, the 360 products. And I'll share why I'm still a customer there and who I think could benefit from these accounts. Capital One is a huge bank. They have a lot of different divisions and products. So there are all sorts of products there, from credit cards to auto loans to home loans. They have everything. So like I said, this is going to be a very limited review on just the checking and savings accounts that you can get on their website, and it is generally called the Capital One 360 checking and Capital 360 performance savings accounts. And I like these two products at Capital One specifically because they give you access to no fee, no overdraft checking and savings accounts with high rates. This is a fantastic option and something that bigger banks that generally charge you for your checking accounts don't offer. And it's also something that is a great idea if you do have a problem with overdrafting, because it can give you a chance to kind of catch up and get better financial habits before you are just stuck in overdraft purgatory where you're constantly overdrafting and paying the fees. So the 360 checking account at Capital One is a no fee, no overdraft charge checking account. They have 24/7 support. They do not charge you any fees. There's no fees to keep it open. There's no monthly fees. There's no minimum balance. So you can go down to as low as you need to. If you are having issues keeping money in your checking account, that is not an issue. You're not going to be charged when you go under a certain amount. And they also don't charge you when you overdraft. They actually give you some options for overdraft coverage. They have 3 different options that are available to customers. So with overdrafts at Capital One, you have the option of basically setting it up so that it will just decline purchases if you don't have enough money to cover it. You also have the option to do a free transfer from a linked savings account. That is one of the reasons why I like these 360 products at Capital One, because you have your checking and your savings together within one account. So if your checking account overdrafts, it can just pull from one of your savings accounts automatically so that you're not having any issues and you're not charged any $30, $35 fees for overdrafting that account. This is especially helpful when you have the money available, you just didn't maybe catch it and move it over in time. They also have the option for no fee overdraft, and this is something where if you do overdraft and you don't have it set up to pull money over, there's no fee on that, and this is a little bit trickier. We actually had this on our own account and did use it once, and it was really nice to have no fee charged when we just made a mistake and had an overdraft happen a couple of years ago now. But it is something where there are a little bit more rules, and they can remove this if you have a lot of overdrafts. But the fact that they offer 3 different options to help customers and prevent any type of fees on overdrafts when other banks are automatically charging you $30, $35 for that is fantastic, and something I love about Capital One. No monthly fees at all on any of their accounts for checking and savings is one of the things I also like about Capital One. With the checking account, you have 24/7 access to your money, so you can always use your app. The mobile banking is always available to you. You also have access to a large amount of ATMs. So this is also one of the reasons why we are still Capital One 360 customers, is because there is such a wide access to ATMs. There are over 70,000 ATMs that you can use worldwide in the network. So you can deposit cash, get out cash if you need without fees. So that is something that is really a benefit. You can also deposit checks very easily with Capital One 360 checking. It is super simple. You just snap pictures, and I've never had an issue with any of the checks I've deposited, and I do that quite often. So that has been very simple. I also really love all of the security features that they have with Capital One 360 checking. They have the account protection things where you can lock your debit card if you can't find it or you lost it. They also have instant alerts that go to your phone. If you want to set that up, you can be notified whenever activity is happening in your account, so you're always aware of what is happening. One other thing I really like about Capital One and their checking account is they do have the option where you can get paid early. So you can get paid up to 2 days early, and I will let you know that this does work. We have had that in the past where we did have direct deposit to Capital One, and it worked really well. We got paid usually the day before the check went through, and that was always really nice to get the money a little bit sooner. So that is available, and it does work if you are interested in a bank that lets you get paid sooner. So let's talk about the savings accounts. As far as the 360 Performance savings accounts, I really like these because you can create multiple accounts within your overall account. So you can have multiple different savings accounts, which is honestly one of the reasons why I personally loved Capital One and used it for so long. So basically, I am able to set up different savings accounts for each sinking fund that I have. So saving up for house repairs, for a new car, for my kids' Christmas gifts. I could have separate accounts, separate savings accounts for each thing, and then put money into those accounts as needed. I love that system of banking personally. I love having sub accounts, and that's one of the reasons why I have used Capital One for so long and recommended these Capital One 360 accounts to people that want to save money in that way. Another great thing is that Capital One has really great rates on their savings accounts. They are always competitive and generally at the top of the pack when you are looking at savings accounts overall. They're not usually the highest, but they are quite high. So the most recent rate I checked was 4.25% on these savings accounts, which is lower than the 5% I can get at other banks, but it's also much higher than traditional savings accounts, which are averaging like 0.46%. So it's definitely a great option if you want something that is higher and does provide a lot of the benefits of having a higher rate on your savings without always chasing the best rate that, can change between bank to bank depending on who's offering something specific. So it's definitely a good contender if you're looking for a stable option that is always toward the higher side of rates on savings. These accounts are great because they have no fees, and there's also no minimum balance for opening an account here. So you can start a new savings account with $0 actually, and that's always nice. I sometimes will do that personally. I will open up a new savings account with nothing in it just because I know that I am going to start saving into that account. I just don't have any money to put in it yet, and I don't want to move anything over. So that's really nice. Also, if you're new to saving money and it's something that you've struggled with in the past and you just don't have savings to start, you can start here for no money, and that is really nice. You can start wherever you are with nothing and build that up over time. Two more things that I think kind of set Capital One apart, especially with online banks specifically, because I consider Capital One 360 an online bank, but they do have branches because Capital One, again, is a huge corporation. They are gigantic. So they have hundreds of branches in 10 states in the US, but their Capital One 360, all of that, operates like an online bank. That's why they have higher rates. That's why you can open an account anywhere, even when there isn't a branch nearby. So it's really nice to have both the flexibility of basically online banking only, combined with a company where you could go into a branch if you live near one, or if you're traveling and you are near one. So that's kind of a nice combination if you do like having an option to go into a branch. Along with that is the fact that there is decent customer support at Capital One. So you have a lot more options than other banks, online only banks. You have the option to chat within the app on your app when you have your app open on your phone. You can text them. You can literally go onto Twitter and tweet at them. You can call them. So they have a phone number that you can call at any time. And then they also do have, of course, those branches and a couple different options. I think it's like Capital One cafes or something like that, where you can go in person and talk to someone if you're nearby or need that support. So that is far superior in terms of customer service to some of the other banks that are online only, where it's literally just basically barely even a phone number. You mostly are trying to chat with these customer service agents because they are abroad and you're trying to get help, but it's not quite working out. So that is really nice. I think Capital One stands apart with their level of customer support for these products specifically compared to some of their competitors, which is always nice because if you do have a problem, you really want to get help right away by someone that is going to understand and actually help you. A few more things I like about the checking and savings accounts together and just in general with Capital One is that it does integrate with Zelle, so you can also send payments to people through that. And then along with that, they have instant transfers between accounts at Capital One. So all of your accounts together, you can transfer money instantly. It moves really quickly, instant transfer, which is nice. You don't have to like wait for it to process and move over. All of the things I talked about are really easy to do inside the app. I use the Capital One app almost exclusively. It is so well designed. It's really easy to use. It's intuitive. And of course, that is something I personally really like and look for in the bank I am using. So that's one of the reasons why I personally also really like Capital One, because they have kept up with updating the app and they do send a lot of updates throughout the year to the app to make it better, to make it work better and look better and be more functional. So that's a plus in my book. So now let's talk about some of the cons of Capital One. There are a few cons. I love them and I've been a customer for a long time, but there are some cons. So let's talk about it. Basically, the rate on the savings is never going to be the highest. It is not the highest currently. It is a little bit under what you can earn other places, but it's also a top, usually at the top option. So it might not be the best, the very, very top, but it's definitely here. It's definitely up there compared to like down here where you're, barely earning anything on your savings. They also don't have the partner ATMs option that a lot of banks do. So there's no ATM fee reimbursement. But again, like I said, there are like a lot of ATMs in their network. So there's a lot of them. We have a lot near us. So we just look in the app and find one nearby. So you'll generally be able to find one. But if you don't and you use another ATM, they just don't reimburse fees or anything like that. And you also can't deposit cash in partner ATMs or other ATMs. So that's definitely something that if you need, they don't offer. Another thing is that the customer service does exist. They are quick, but it can also be kind of hard to understand the phone operators because that part is outsourced. So sometimes it can be a little bit of lost in translation and difficult to understand. So it's kind of mediocre if you're not doing it in person at one of their branches. You might not get the best customer support. You are going to get good, relatively good compared to banking in general support, but it's probably not the best support you've ever had in your life. I would say that. I tend to use the chat feature and that is a lot easier for me. I am more of a written person instead of an auditory person anyway, so that's how I like to communicate. Funny that I'm a YouTuber, but I do find that that has been actually really good customer support and been great for my needs. But if you're on the phone, you might not find that as good. I'm not sure this is a con necessarily, but their ACH transfers to other places are average. Nothing is faster on that end. And then on the early payment for any direct deposit or anything like that, the get paid early feature, that was a pro that I talked about. It does say 2 days, but we have never had it be 2 days. It has only ever been 1 day before the paycheck. So we will get the notification the day before and the money's in the account the day before, but it's definitely never been 2 days. So keep that in mind. It maybe won't be 2 days getting paid early, but you do get paid early. Overall, I find the pros of Capital One to be so much better. The checking and savings 360 products are actually some of the best, and I would highly recommend them to anyone that is looking for something that is a beginner account, something with no fees and overdraft coverage. And if you're trying to build up a savings habit, I think these are some of the best possible options for you because you don't have those fees and you can create multiple savings accounts with high rates where you can save money for things that you need. Of course, this does not include all of their other products. That is a totally separate thing. So I would not extend my stamp of approval for everything that Capital One offers, but for the 360 checking and 360 performance savings, they are great products. And I will say that recently, a couple months ago, Capital One in February of 2024, I believe, did announced that they were planning to acquire Discover. Discover also has a lot of really great products and is a good consumer choice. So time will tell what that actually means for you as a customer, for me as a customer, but they do have those plans in place. So I just want to let you know. But I personally became a Capital One customer because of one of their acquisitions. So hopefully it's a good thing for everybody involved. And as a happy customer of over a decade, I do look forward to seeing what they bring on board and what changes they make over time. If you have used Capital One's 360 checking or 360 performance savings accounts, I would love to know what you thought about them. Leave me a comment and let me know what you thought, and definitely check out this next video.